everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League and Scottish Premier League results. We'll be previewing this week's Champions League second leg semi-finals, previewing the Celtic Rangers match coming up at the weekend, and we'll be reacting to Real Madrid winning the Liga title. And then at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off with the English Premier League results, as we always do. So on Saturday, the 4th of May, the results were Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 0, Brentford 0, Fulham 0, Burnley 1, Newcastle United 4, Sheffield United 1, Nottingham Forest 3, Man City 5, Wolves 1. And then on Sunday, the 5th of May, the results were Brighton 1, Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 5, West Ham United 0, Liverpool 4, Tottenham 2. And then yesterday, which was Monday, the 6th of May, there was one match, and that finished Crystal Palace 4, Man United 0. So, Pearse, as always, which match stands out to you the most?
It's got to be the Monday Night Football action, which is obviously Crystal Palace 4, Manchester United 0. And it just goes from bad to worse for Manchester United this season. Obviously, Oliver Glasses came in and brought a new lease of life to this Crystal Palace side. And you see that a nice upturn of fortunes, and obviously the highly touted Michael Olise got a double, and also he's got at least got a sum of £65 million, which I'm sure Chelsea, Man United, and a few others will be probably sniffing around because he is a talented boy. In terms of Manchester United, they've now conceded 81 goals, the highest in the club's history since 1976-1977 season. And they've lost 13 Premier League games in a single Premier League season for the very first time. And this is the worst season going back 10 years since David Moyes finished 7th in the 2014 season for Man United, and that was on 64 points. And Manchester United can't even reach that tally of 64 points this season. And that's how poor this season has been for Manchester United. Although they've got a cup final coming up against Man City, that's kind of papering over the cracks because it's been a terrible season for Manchester United, although they've had a lot of injuries. But I think Ten Hag is on very thin ice, and I don't see him living past the end of the season. And then touching on the other result is Liverpool 4, Spurs 2. Tottenham have had a really poor run of results recently. And I think maybe Ange Postecoglou's, you see him on the touchlines getting a bit animated, which is unusual for us to see, because when he was up in Scotland with Celtic, never really seen him get agitated. And obviously the first couple of months he got the manager a month, 2 months in a row in the Premier League, hit the ground running, and obviously he's had injuries, he's had obviously now dip in form as well. The player's not performing to the highest level. And it just shows you how high and highly competitive the English Premier League is, and how difficult it is to keep that form up. And obviously Liverpool are 4-0 up, cruising. When an hour gone, and probably the pick of the bunch was Harvey Elliott's goal, where he just cut in and just bent it at the top corner, which was a sensational finish. But obviously 2 consolation goals from Richarlison and Son, but it was too little too late, and Liverpool thoroughly deserved a victory. But they two were the standout fixtures for me.
Yeah, I think the only place you can start is the Crystal Palace 4, Man United 0 match. It was, I'm actually not surprised Crystal Palace won that match, because they've actually been really good since Oliver Glasner's come in. He's kind of come into the club, and they've actually picked up form, but I never expected Crystal Palace to win 4-0. With Man United, they've got a lot of injuries at the moment, and you have to kind of you have to feel for them a bit, because the injury list they've got is pretty ridiculous, to be honest. They just seem to get new injuries every week, and they had the defensive partnership last night of Casemiro and Johnny Evans, but it's still not an excuse, because Man United shouldn't be getting beat 4-0 off of Crystal Palace. It was a really bad night for them, but it's quite sad now, because you're not really. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm not really that surprised anymore, because you've just seen it so many times over the years from Man United where they're just getting beat heavily. You know, and with Eric Ten Hag, it's week after week, it's getting really hard to kind of make art points for him to continue as Man United manager. Because ever since he's joined Man United, you know, I was excited when he joined Man United as manager because I thought we were kind of going to see his team play the way his Ajax team played, which were well, because that Ten Hag team had players like De Ligt and De Jong and Ziyech, and they were a really good side to watch, especially that season in Champions League. But since he's joined Man United, I haven't seen anything like that. You know, there's no. I don't know the way they play. I don't know their style of play. You know, they concede. I think they concede so many goals. I mean, they've got a -3 goal difference this season. It's just ridiculous. I've just, you know, it's unheard of for Man United. So I've really been really disappointed with that. And yeah, I think for Ten Hag, it's getting really hard to kind of, you know, stand by him. I think the fans are kind of starting to kind of turn against him. And yeah, I think this summer for Ten Hag, it's going to be interesting to see where his future lies because you know, these results just aren't good enough. And then obviously you did briefly touch on Liverpool 4, Tottenham 2, which was you know, which was it was a good match in the end. You know, Liverpool did win comfortably. Um, Tottenham had that little bit of a comeback at the end, but it was a totally deserved Liverpool win. So yeah, I think Postecoglou, as you said, this is the toughest time he's had since he's come in as manager. And I think he's been chatting over the last few weeks about how there definitely has to be more change in the club. So I think for Tottenham, it's going to be a bit of a busy summer in terms of ingoings and outgoings. So just obviously sticking on with the Premier League, I just want to briefly touch on West Ham United. So it was confirmed yesterday that West Ham confirmed that David Moyes will leave the club by mutual consent at the end of the season. So David Moyes, he departs West Ham after 4.5 years. So during that time, he's secured 2 top 7 Premier League finishes. He's got West Ham to the UEFA Europa League semi-final and quarter-final. And then obviously the most famous story was the fact that he won West Ham the UEFA Europa Conference League. And that was West Ham's first major trophy since lifting the FA Cup in 1980. So just David Moyes said in the statement that he's really enjoyed working with everyone at West Ham, and he'd like to thank the board for giving him the opportunity to manage this great club. And then the joint chairman David Sullivan, he just said that he wanted to thank David Moyes for the contribution he'd made to the club, and he said by making this announcement now, it allows David Moyes to get a send off from the West Ham supporters, which he deserves. So, yeah, Pearse, what's your thoughts about David Moyes leaving West Ham?
I think the grass isn't always greener. I think he's really underappreciated as a manager. Because when he left the first time and they tried to go a more kind of expansive way with Manuel Pellegrini, they nearly get relegated, and then he came back in, steadied the ship, and he got them into Europe, into Europa League, got to the semi-finals, and then obviously the following season last year he got the Conference League and he went and won it. West Ham's first ever major trophy. David Moyes' first ever major trophy. And I think, like you say, his style of play might not be the most attractive on the eye, right? But you look at his team have a style of play in terms of what they want to do. You've got Jared Bowen, you've got Kudus, you've got attacking project Lucas Paqueta, but you've also got some solid, sturdy players in terms of a good goalkeeper Areola. You've got Kurt Zuma, Thomas Soucek, Thomas Kufal, just solid pros that will run the heart into the ground. And you look at them in this table, they're only a position behind Manchester United. I mean, considering the shoestring budget that they have compared to someone like a Manchester United who have spent hundreds and hundreds of millions on players that just haven't worked. And like you say, he's competing in Europe as well. So I think what he's done at West Ham has been remarkable over these 2 spells. And I do think he will get another top job because he is a top manager. He might not get that elite level that he once did at Manchester United, but for me, he's got to be good down as a West Ham legend. Because of what he's done at that club, and a lot of West Ham fans um might not want to see him leave, because I think he will get a fantastic send off, like you say, at the London Stadium. Because, like you say, winning a major trophy for West Ham in recent years has not been a thing that's happened all too often, and I think it will live long in the memory of all the West Ham supporters. In terms of the new potential manager coming in Julian Lopetegui, kind of a full spell at Wolves. Didn't really go too successful in Madrid or Sevilla. Obviously, so some high profile jobs, but remains to be seen if he can cut it the Premier League. But for me, I would have kept David Moyes because I think he's a superb manager, and I think he'd have done wonders, and he'd have kept him in the top half of the table, pushing for Europe every season. But that's my reaction to the news.
Yeah, I'd agree with what you just said there. He's arguably probably West Ham's greatest ever manager. I mean, you could he definitely has an argument for being that greatest ever manager for West Ham. The job he's done there has been amazing. I mean, as you said, you touched on the fact when he came in, they were in a relegation battle. He got them out of that, and then ever since that, they've just went on this journey. And they just keep getting. They were just better. They were getting better season after season. Their European record was really good. I mentioned the fact that Europa League semi-final, quarter-final, and then obviously that famous win in the Conference League. So yeah, I mean the job he's done at West Ham is amazing. And then I agree with you. I think that old saying, "The grass isn't always greener." It's quite obvious that West Ham have decided to leave maybe because of the style of play. Because we do know that David Moyes' team don't play that possession-based football, and it's quite a defensive style of play. So it's quite obvious that's probably the reason why. But I always thought with West Ham under David Moyes that they were always hard to beat. I mean, the last few weeks, to be fair, it's gone a bit the opposite way. They've been getting beat heavily. They got beat heavily at the weekend against Chelsea, but I always thought that under West Ham David Moyes they were really hard to play against. He hasn't even. I don't even think West Ham have had that bad a season. As you said, they're only a point. Is it a point behind Man United?
Points.
A point behind you.
4 points.
Yeah, 4 points behind. I mean, that's not that bad at all. A top 10 finish, they'll probably get a top 10 finish this season. They got knocked out Europa League against a Bayer Leverkusen side who are they're just rolling every team apart at the moment. So I don't think they've had that bad a season, but they've made that decision. It's going to be interesting to see how West Ham do get on without David Moyes. And I definitely think he will get another job pretty soon because he's still a top manager. And he can still definitely manage at the top level. But you were saying there about Lopetegui. It will be interesting to see how he does get on because he does play a totally different style to David Moyes. He's had a bit of success in his career. He's had some top jobs, so we'll see how he does get on next season. If that it's not been confirmed yet, but it does look likely he will be the manager. So we'll see how that gets on next season, and we'll find out if West Ham fans are wanting David Moyes back or maybe make become a long distant memory. We don't know, but we'll see what happens next season with West Ham. So we'll move on now to last weekend's Scottish Premier League results. So on Saturday, the 4th of May, the results finished Aberdeen 1, St Johnstone 0, Celtic 3, Hearts 0, Dundee 1, St Mirren 3, Motherwell 4, Livingston 1, Ross County 2, Hibs 1, and then there was one match on Sunday, the 5th of May, which was Rangers 4, Kilmarnock 1. So just before I ask you, Pearse, it was just to say that obviously after that Motherwell 4, Livingston 1 match, it was confirmed that Livingston have been relegated to the Scottish Championship. So yeah, just tell you that. So yeah, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
Probably the obvious results. I think it's obviously Celtic 3, Hearts 0. thought it was a thoroughly dominating performance from start to finish. Thought Hearts really tested Celtic early on in the early stages and required some really good defending in terms of like, blocks from Cameron Carter-Vickers and also a couple of world-class saves from Joe Hart, especially at 1-0 when Celtic just took the lead to deny Cameron Devlin. But no, I thought Hearts, in terms of set pieces, and that really caused Celtic some problems with deliveries, but they stood up and it was a really good match. It was high energy, high intensity, and I think that was the loudest I've seen Celtic Park in a while in terms of like, in recent months. And I thought it was a really good contest. Hearts really went for it. They pressed Celtic high up, and Celtic then kind of found spaces in behind, and that allowed someone like Kyogo, who has been quiet in recent weeks. His goals have dried up, but when it comes to big matches, he always seems to score. And both his goals are of the highest quality. His first one just instinctive, getting in front of the goalkeeper, just about level in terms of online with Xander Clark. And then obviously the second one was just a wonder ball from Matt O'Reilly, who just picks him out early. And the ball seemed to take an eternity to drop out there, and it just kind of cushions into the bottom right hand corner. And then obviously Celtic seal the match later on with a penalty from Matt O'Reilly. In terms of the other result, obviously Rangers 4, Kilmarnock 1. Rangers obviously in the end it looks like a really dominant victory. But I think obviously Kilmarnock took lead early on through a Tavernier own goal. And obviously I think the opening 30 minutes were probably the most eventful because obviously there was three VAR checks for a penalty for Rangers. Two were wiped away after a VAR review, and then obviously one was given, and then obviously the Kilmarnock goalkeeper saves it. And obviously during that time that was given, Joe Wright was sent off for a straight red card for a handball incident, which then obviously makes it very difficult at Ibrox if you're 1-0 up to try and hang on for the best part of 70 minutes plus stoppage time. So you're talking probably 80 odd minutes to hang on against a team that's obviously looking to get back into it in the ascendancy and just get shots on Toppy and stuff like that. And obviously Rangers probably got the best timing of the goal in terms of the 45th plus 8 minutes with Fabio Silva. And obviously I think Rangers kind of just kicked on from there, and I thought obviously Kilmarnock was just running on empty, and eventually it just kind of they wrapped up the result. And I thought obviously Tom Lawrence's goal was probably the pick of the bunch, probably at 25 yards curling at the top left hand corner. But I think obviously sets up both sides well for this weekend. Two results against two top quality sides in terms of Hearts and Kilmarnock. That's also the top four face each other this past weekend. So they two were the standout matches for me.
Yep, there's one match that stands out to me the most, and that was the match Motherwell 4, Livingston 1, for the obvious reasons that Livingston were now confirmed to be relegated. In terms of the match, it was a really comfortable Motherwell win. They scored an absolute belter of a second goal. I don't know if you saw it, but it was Sam Nicholson. He just kind of picked the ball up, and just outside the box, and he smashed it into the top corner, hit the bar and went in. But it was a really good goal. And then Theo Bair, I think he's on about 16 goals this season in the league. So he's had a brilliant season. He scored a couple of goals as well. So yeah, it was a standard Motherwell victory. And then in terms of Livingston, let's be honest, it's been coming for let's be honest, the full season now. They've been right down the bottom for the full season. It's been really, really tough on them. I mean, I think they've been in the league for about 6 years. And in that time, they've got to a final, the Scottish League Cup final. I think they've had 2 top 6 finishes as well during that time as well. So they've actually had a really successful time during their stay in the top flight. But it was getting harder and harder for them season after season. And this season it's just proved too much. And yeah, they have now been relegated, and it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of react next season, because they're probably going to get rid of a lot of players and there'll be new players coming in. And we all know the Scottish Championships, it's just so, I mean, you're 2 defeats away from you're 2 results away from either being in the relegation zone or being in the fight for promotion. It's just such a hard league to call. It's really tight every season, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get on in the Scottish Championship. But yeah, that was my standout match, just based on the fact that it meant that Livingston were confirmed to be relegated, and then obviously you were just touching on there the 2 results for Celtic and Rangers. 2 high scoring. Celtic got 3 goals, Rangers got 4 goals. So yeah, they both got 3 points, and then that now leads me on to my next bit, which is obviously at the weekend. We have the big match, the last derby of the season between Celtic and Rangers. This one will be played at Celtic Park. There'll be no Rangers fans there. Celtic are 3 points ahead of Rangers. Celtic do have a bit of goal difference as well. So I think we've only got 3 matches now until the end of the season. So yeah, let's be honest, this is going to be the one that calls who will win the title this season. So how do you think it's going to go, Pearse?
I think it's going to be blockbuster again. I don't think anyone could have called the last derby. Ibrox were Celtic were miles ahead of Rangers. Rangers kind of surprised by being so deep. Celtic were also 2-0 up at half time, cruising, and then Rangers get a penalty. They get back into the game. Then equalised. They thought they'd go in front, and then Celtic grab a late they thought a late goal, which they thought they won, and then also Matondo scores a goal at added time. So a 3-3 at Ibrox, which was sensational game of football to watch. It was the old cliche of a game of 2 halves, but I think this game, Brendan Rodgers has the upper hand in terms of the record against Rangers, and obviously Philippe Clement hasn't won a derby match yet. He's now got a defeat and a draw. And obviously, like you say, Celtic are get slight favourites for me because obviously the home advantage, 60,000 Celtic fans, not one Rangers fan in the stadium. Celtic have undefeated this season in the derbies, 2 wins and a draw. And obviously that goal difference is superior as well by 5 goals, which counts a lot. The head-to-head's better, and obviously they're picking up form at the right time and getting the players back at the right time. And obviously Rangers have lost Colin Golson for the season, so that's a massive loss for Rangers. And so there's a whole lot of contributing factors, but I would make Celtic slight favourites. And I think it could be another high scoring match. It always seems to be in these matches. High intensity, high ferocity, and obviously that, like you say, and in these matches it's always the team that starts well first, and the team that controls the midfield will always going to do well in these matches, because that is where Celtic have had joy recent this season with Cal McGregor, and obviously Rangers in the past as well. But so it's really intriguing. But I would make Celtic slight favourites, and I think they will go on and win the match and potentially go on and secure the title.
Yeah, it's another blockbuster match. This is the biggest derby match of the season so far. Obviously because it's the last one, but just because it basically does decide where the title will go. Well, not necessarily where the title will go, but basically Rangers have to win this, because if Rangers lose, it's pretty simple. If Celtic win, they'll win the title. If Rangers win, then they're level on points, and although Celtic might still have the advantage, it will probably go to the last day of the season. So basically, Rangers have to win this match. It's pretty simple. They're going to have to go to Celtic Park. It's going to be 60,000 Celtic fans there. There'll be 0 Rangers fans. And yeah, Rangers are going to have to try and come out of Celtic Park with 3 points on Saturday. It's going to be a really exciting match. 2 teams. I mean, Celtic are in better form at the moment. Rangers have kind of dropped a little bit the last few weeks. But it's been really hard to call these matches this season because they've all been pretty tight. Especially the last one, which ended 3-3, that was an incredible match. So it's really hard to call, but I will say I think Celtic are favourites to win the match, just based on the fact they are in better form at the moment. They're at Celtic Park, 60,000 Celtic fans. It's going to be really hard for Rangers to kind of try and overcome that. And Celtic do have the advantage because of the 3 points difference. So they'll probably be a bit more relaxed, maybe going into the match. So I'll probably say Celtic are favourites. But I definitely think Rangers are in for a good chance because, uh, you know, um, they're still well in the title race, and they'll be desperate to pick up the 3 points and give themselves a chance and to still try and win this title. So yeah, I'd say Celtic are still. I'd say Celtic are the favourites for this match coming up on Saturday.
Score prediction.
My score prediction, I'm going to say 2-1 Celtic. I don't think I don't see it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think it'll end up like 3-3. I just don't see that happening again. I hope it does, but because that'd be amazing. But I think it'll be 2-1 Celtic. I think it'll be a pretty tight match. And yeah, I just think Celtic will just get the result that they needed. What about you?
I think it'll be 5-1 Celtic. I think Celtic
Oh,
are
for God's
like
sake!
the four of them. I'm sorry, but I just generally don't see anything other than a Celtic win, and it just came to my dream last night that result came to me. In terms of this weekend, that was a premonition. So I'm going to just go with that. I think Celtic will just have a bit too much.
Not
Like
too much.
a bit too much. And also that results happened in the past, obviously in Brendan Rodgers' first tenure. But obviously, like you say, the match has been tight this season. But I'm going to go with a 5-1 Celtic.
Oh we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about it next week in the podcast. But that's a pretty mad prediction. So we'll see if anything comes of that. So yeah, we'll talk about that in the podcast next week. I just want to briefly touch, just sticking briefly on Scottish football. So Scotland international Lewis Ferguson, who plays in Serie A, plays for Bologna. He won the Bulgarelli #8 award, which is awarded to the best midfielder in Serie A this season. So the Bologna captain, so he arrived in 2022 from Aberdeen. He's had a really good season, but it's just ended because he got a knee injury, which has ruled him out for the season. But anyway, he won the best Serie A midfielder award for the season, and he joins quite a lucrative kind of list of players who've won that. They include Daniele De Rossi, Nicolo Barella, and Sandro Tonali. So yeah, so my reaction to it is really good to see players, Scottish players, going to these kind of top leagues and picking up these awards. Um, you know, and he's joined a really lucrative list of players to win that award. And yeah, I definitely think this summer he's going to be, and he's going to interest a lot of top clubs. So yeah, well done at Lewis Ferguson. Just what about you, Pearse?
Yeah, I think he's a top quality midfielder. He showed from his time in Aberdeen that he's a box to box midfielder. But I think since he's went to Bologna, I think he's from strength to strength under a top quality coach in Thiago Motta, a young coach. He's going strength to strength. He's now the captain of that side that have now secured European football this season. It's just a pity that he's ruptured his ACL and he's also going to miss the Euros because I think he's a tremendous midfielder and he'll be an asset to that Scotland squad. But he'll be gutted he'll be missing out. But I think the future's bright for Scotland and he'll be hopefully in another major tournament for Scotland. But I think in terms of his stock, it's certainly on the rise, just like a lot of the Bologna squad is. But I think, like you say, joined the steam company in terms of Sandro Tonali, Nico Barella, and other legends of the past that have won this award in the Serie A. So for a Scot abroad to win that award, it's sensational, and it's good to see a lot of Scottish players thriving abroad, especially in Italy, because we've seen that in recent seasons with Josh Doig and obviously Aaron Hickey, who's now at Brentford. So it's good to see, obviously, that just shows you that the Scottish players from the Scottish League can go on and do better things, and it's great to see. And fair play to Lewis Ferguson. I think he's a top quality player, and hopefully he can go into another bigger club this season because I think Juventus has been talked this season, so or into Milan. So I think if he can definitely take himself another level, because he's sensational.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to him. So we'll move on now to this week's Champions League semi-final second leg matches. So tonight, which is Tuesday, the 7th of May, PSG will be playing Borussia Dortmund. The score in that tie at the moment is 1-0 to Borussia Dortmund, so that's still all to play for. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, the 8th of May, we've got Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. That score at the moment is 2-2, so once again, all to play for. So, Pearse, just what's your thoughts on the two matches, and who do you think is going to go to the final?
I think it is all set up for a. I know I'm wearing a Dortmund top just now at the moment, but I think Dortmund should have had a bigger advantage in the first leg. But I do think at Paris, Kylian Mbappe, I think he will just be the difference maker, and I think he will just edge PSG to the final. And then I think in terms of Bayern Munich Real Madrid, although that's probably on a knife edge, but at the Bernabeu, Ancelotti, and they just have that know-how, and I just see Real Madrid only winning that match, only just, but because obviously Bayern Munich cannot be underestimated, but obviously you've got the other flip of the coin. It could be a repeat of the 2013 final, the all German final, but I think it will be a PSG Real Madrid, and I think it will be an Mbappe show in terms of playing against his future club in terms of their summer. But I think it will be two fantastic ties, and I think both will be high scoring, both want to get to that final. And I'm looking forward to both matches, and I think Dortmund PSG tonight will be sensational. And I think PSG will just do it, and I think they'll face Real Madrid in the final.
Yep, two fantastic matches as well. I'm really looking forward to both of them because both of them are still to play for. They've both had really good Champions League campaigns this season. I'm actually going to say it'll be a Real Madrid Borussia Dortmund final. I just think Borussia Dortmund tonight, I just think they'll go there, and I think they'll pull off that result that they need. They're on quite good form at the moment. They've got Jadon Sancho back on form. I mean, he was terrific last week in the first leg against PSG. It was so good to see him play like that. And then tomorrow, the Real Madrid Bayern Munich match, that was a cracking first leg last week. It's going to be really exciting at the Bernabeu to see how that match goes. But I think Real Madrid, just with the experience and just the fact that they're also in good confidence as well because they won the Liga just at the weekend there. So I think they'll be in good top form, and I just think they'll have too much for Bayern Munich. So I'm going to say it'll be a Real Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund final. And yeah, we'll talk about the results of the second leg next week on the podcast. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so in terms of Asian football news, we had K-League 1 action at the weekend. So Saturday the 4th of May we had FC Seoul 0, Ulsan HD FC 1, Hwang Steelers 1, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors 0. Sunday the 5th of May we had two matches, Suwon FC 1, Gangwon FC 2, Gimcheon Sangwoo 2, Incheon United 2. And then Monday the 6th of May we had Jeju United 1, Daegu FC 0, and Gwangju FC 2, Daejeon Hana Citizen 1. So in terms of the league table, at the top of the table we have Hwang Steelers now top of the league on 24 points after 11 matches played. Ulsan now second with 23 points with only 10 matches played. And then third, we've got Gimcheon Sangwoo, who have dropped off from the top of the table down to third and now on 21 points. So at the bottom half of the table, we have 12th position with Daegu FC on 8 points. And then 10th and 11th position with Daejeon Hana Citizen and Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors, both on 10 points, separated by only 3 goals. So we now move on to the J League 1 action. So all the matches were played on Monday, the 6th of May. So Tokyo Verdy 3, Jubilo Iwata 2, Vissel Kobe 3, Alberts Niigata 2, Gambo Osaka 1, Ceres Osaka 0, Avispa Fukuoka 1, Kawasaki Frontale 1, Hoikuro Consadole Sapporo 1, FC Tokyo 2, Kyoto Sanga 0, SC Machida Zelbia 3, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 2, Nagoya Grampus 3, Kashiwa Reysol 1, Kashi Antlers 2, Shonan Bellmare 2, Sagan Tusu 1, and lastly but not least, Ura Diamonds 2, Yokohama F Mariners 1. So let's leave the table looking like this. So we have FC Machida Zelvia still top of the table in their maiden campaign in J1. 25 points after 12 matches played. We've got last year champions in second position, Vissel Kobe on 23 points. And in third position, we had Cash Antlers on 22 points. So it's very tight at the top of the table, and it's even tight at the bottom of the table as well. With 20th position, we have Hoikuro Console Sapporo on 8 points. And in 19th position, we have Sagan Tusu on 8 points, separated by only 2 goals. And in 18th position, we have Kyoto Sanga FC on 9 points. So in terms of other Asian football news, so Kupang Play have beat Sport TV and have acquired the broadcast rights for the Premier League in Korea. So Kupang Play will exclusively broadcast the Premier League matches for 6 years, starting from the 2025-2026 season. It's been about a month since Jeonbuk's manager position became vacant since Dan Francesco resigned following a poor stint in charge. Kim Do-hoon was once mentioned as a strong candidate to take over the new manager, but technical director Park Ji-sung prefers a foreign manager. So the J-League's football department is considering a plan to launch an under-21 league next season. It would be between 15 to 20 matches a year and include university teams in the league, an expansion of matchday squads to 20, and obviously elimination of ABC contract types are also being debated. And that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.